So in a lot of ways it's almost impossible to teach spirituality in the 21st century because everybody's been trained to be efficient and quick moving. And as a result, they miss the beauty of just being. The ability to slow down and do nothing seems to be a bit of a rarity. My eyesight's getting worse. Didn't beep, did it? Unless it beeps, I don't think it makes a difference. Yeah. How slow can you go? We have this ability to do a lot of things very quickly, but there's no peace in that. There's no serenity in that. There's no beauty in that. We have an ability to really complicate our lives and do very complex tasks. And I gave that up 30 odd years ago when I realised I wasn't that interested in making money over having a beautiful life. Because usually if you're a fast-moving person, it's very difficult to slow down. Maybe if you had some alcohol or some drugs or something. But to be able to run slow inside yourself and see everything coming and everything going because you're not moving too quick, to run slow enough to be in touch with the earth, with the plants, with other people, this takes a little bit of practice because it's not something that we were trained to do at school. We were trained to be efficient, and we were trained to be quick. And when we left school and applied for jobs, we would have been rewarded for being efficient and being quick. It's just that it becomes a default pattern. A life of constant doing things in a manner that is not relaxed. This place is called Restful Waters. It's a place where people can relax if they're willing to let go and stop doing, if they can just be quiet for a while. But it's amazing watching people constantly busying themselves, constantly giving themselves more to do. And then getting into spirituality and thinking that somehow you can continue being like that and you're going to find anything. It's not until you can slow right down and be still that you see a great deal anyway. Thinking isn't seeing. Thinking is just you stuck in the dream box of analysing. It is so nice to be quiet. While you're in the marketplace, while you're doing things. But unless that's been a practice, that's not going to happen. The practice of mindfulness means becoming aware of what you're doing with your body, what other people are doing around you, rather than thinking about it. And it slows you down because our minds can go faster than how we move. And so I used to do this thing that I called walking in Zen. where I'd walk every morning along the beach and I'd watch my footfalls because they're happening, they're real. And I'd watch my breath at the same time because that was also real. And I'd become aware of any wind or breeze that was blowing. So now I was aware of 3 things at once. When you're aware of 3 things that are real at once, it's actually hard to think, because the thinking will take you away from the reality of the footfalls, the reality of the wind, the reality of your breath. And then I'd become aware of the sun and where it was on my body and how it was feeling. So now I was aware of 4 things. And it's difficult to actually dream. It's difficult to go into analysing. This is mindfulness training, training yourself to be present to what is real instead of staying present to what is not real, the mind. And so I used to walk every day for an hour along the beach in what I called walking in Zen, which was a very silent affair because I was aware of these 4 things. There was one more, 5 things. I also became aware of the sound of the ocean and the sound of anything else that was happening around. And I found it impossible to think. I had to stay with the reality of those 5 things. After a while, and I'm talking about 6 months, it started to become my habit of being that present for long periods, and I loved it. I loved being present to reality. I loved slowing down and being with nature. I found the beauty of being with nature, because there's no real beauty of being with your thoughts. It's like being stuck in a B-grade movie over and over again, very repetitive, very grey and very dead. You lose the freshness of life because you're dreaming, you're not living in reality. And so it's quite simple to get back in touch with reality. It's quite simple to practice being mindful, but it's boring in a way, so people don't like it a great deal. Before I started walking in Zen, I had a Mercurian mind that could work very quickly. I ran a publishing company, and I didn't have a stop button. It just went and went and went. So it was really nice to find a stop button, to find a way to slow it down and get in touch with the beauty of reality rather than a Mercurian mind that wouldn't shut up. I can still go to the Mercurian mind if I want to, but I prefer to be silent inside because it's beautiful to be silent. It's not beautiful to be constantly thinking, constantly analysing, constantly trying to work things out, solve problems. There's no beauty in that. And there's definitely no joy in it. There's a joy in being with a bird as it sings. And so, whatever you practice, you're going to be good at. If all you practice is thinking, that's all you're ever going to be good at. And that's really not higher consciousness, it's lower consciousness. We raise our consciousness levels by the practice of becoming quiet and watching our mind from a distance, and removing all obstacles that keep us locked in resistance to life. And no one can make you do it. It's up to you whether you want to or not. Listening to a lecture tonight's not going to change you. No amount of study ever changed anybody when it comes to consciousness levels. Only practice. What do you practice? I fell in love with the moment, and I fell out of love with the dream. The dream of analysing, the story of Vishrant, the problem solving. I'd got very good at it, but there's no joy in it. There's no beauty in it. It's dry. There's so much beauty in just being. And then if you've practiced enough, you can take it into the marketplace. You can be with other people who are running really quickly, and you don't need to be. You run slow. Doesn't mean you don't get things done. You get them done. But you're at peace inside yourself. You're not racing around inside yourself to try to make ends meet. You see things coming from a long distance away because you're running slow enough to see them. You don't miss things because you're moving too quickly. You see the consequences of all your actions. And it's just not something we're taught as Westerners. It's come from Eastern religions, Eastern philosophies. The idea of meditation, mindfulness, slowing down, being still, being beautiful. So I spend a lot of time trying to slow people down, and they spend a lot of time running fast. Where are you going so quickly? Racing out for a stress burger. It's nice to have a cup of tea and do nothing and still get everything done. We can always come up with excuses why we need to move quickly. Because our minds are clever. We can always justify what we do. Whether that's good or bad, we can justify it. It's up to you.